Hey everyone, Heather Leopards here. Thanks so much for joining me today. I created this layout about my daughter using the Elle Studio March 2018 kit. When I was designing the kit, I first designed it in the Silhouette Studio software so that I could make sure that I could fit everything exactly where I wanted it to be, from the photos to the clouds to the rainbows. And once I had it designed, I picked out 3 of my favorite colors that I thought kind of spanned the majority of the rainbow spectrum. I went with some Heidi Swapp Sweet Cherry, Mint, and Butter Mists, and I just kind of lightly tapped them over the paper in various different spots. I knew where I wanted everything to go based on how I designed the page. I kind of kept the misting light because I knew that I was going to have so many different things going on with the layout and so many different colors. And next what I did was I actually wanted this to dry just a little bit faster, so I used a technique that I saw Missy Whidden do with her paper towel rolls, and I thought that was just genius. Next, I went ahead and cut out the rainbow according to how I had designed it in the Silhouette Studio software, and then I saved the little bits to use as templates for my backing. And then I just wonkily, is that a word? Wonkily. I just cut out the rainbow, wonky and all, because that's kind of how the file was designed anyway, so I didn't want it to be a perfect semicircle around the rainbow. And then next, again, I used those templates, leaving about 1/4 of an edge around it. I cut around my rainbow filler pattern paper. So I just cut all the way around it. And this is actually, I did it 2 ways. This is the first way. I wanted to show you both techniques. One is a little less calculated than the other, which is kind of my style. But if you want to, you can also trace them. So what you do is you'll want to flip it over, and then you can just trace along the back side of the pattern paper and then cut it out that way. So like I said, if you don't want to have to trim a few pieces here and there, which I highly advise, you might want to go with this particular technique. Again, you'll also want to leave about 1/4 of an inch around the edge just to make sure it fits. And of course, if you don't, do it perfect, there's no harm in that. All you have to do is just trim it up. Usually what I like to do is, and you'll see whenever I go to place these, is I like to just make sure it's all going to fit pretty good before I actually adhere it to the back of the rainbow. And so here we go. I've just got the last couple of bits here, and then we will be done. And this one was super easy. It was a little tiny itty bitty piece, which is actually where I started. So I started at the bottom because I knew it would be easier for me to overlap the pieces and not have to worry about whether or not the bottom was a perfect fit or not. So there you can see how I adhered it with just some liquid glue, and I had to adjust this next piece just a little bit, so I just trimmed a little itty bitty piece off. And you can see what I'm doing there is I'm placing the pattern paper underneath it, making sure it fits. Once I know it does, then I will go ahead and adhere it, and then before the glue completely dries, I go ahead and just make sure that it's a perfect fit and I can't see anything sticking out on the other side. And then last but not least, of course, is the red. And you can see why I wanted to go ahead and start at the bottom so that the bottom pieces can overlap. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do was stitch around the rainbow. I just wanted to add a little bit of dimension here, so I just stitched around each individual divider, the little white dividers of the rainbows there, and I just did a straight stitch. I didn't worry, if it got a little bit off, or I just basically followed the white line, and yeah, that made it really, really easy to do. And then once I was done, I just pulled the strings to the back and adhered it with washi tape, and voila, I've got a wonderful, pretty stitched rainbow. Isn't that cute? Okay, so now it is time to start adhering, but then I'm like, hey, I need to stitch these clouds as well. So I just quickly stitched those again in a straight line around the perimeter of each of the clouds, and then I added these also to the page. So what I ended up doing is the cloud that's underneath my photos, I just adhered directly to the page, and then the cloud that's up at the top of the rainbow, I actually adhered using foam dots. Okay, so do you see that awesome rainbow at the bottom that I just added to the page? My jaw literally hit the floor whenever I opened up the March kit because that thing is just amazing. So I knew I wanted it to make a big statement on my page. So next what I'm doing is I'm just looking for different ways to kind of layer over my photo, and then I realized I also need to add some layers underneath the photo, so I added this cute little kind of rainbow dot 3x4 journaling card, and I'm just kind of moving things around, making sure everything's going to fit the way I planned. Again, referring back to that design that I did in the Silhouette store. I still wasn't sure what I was going to put in that empty space down in the lower left-hand side. I thought maybe I'd do a nice title, but there was already so much going on with the page. I ended up cutting out some of these labels in the same pattern as the rainbow. So I started out with a red, and then I added a yellow, a teal, and a green and a purple. So I wasn't quite sure if I was going to add journaling to those, or maybe I'd add some stickers to them. So I just kind of fiddled around, placed them there a little bit, and then I realized I needed to add another layer behind my photo that you see there in the background. It was just kind of, I was feeling like it was a little naked there, so I did that, and then I looked around the page and I thought, okay, that upper left-hand corner didn't quite have enough mist, so I quickly added just a little bit more to that. And once I started to like how the page was looking, I went ahead and committed everything down. And then I realized I had those really cool stickers, phrase stickers there. So I ended up replacing the green one with an actual green sticker. And then I added in a pink one because the rainbow up above has a mix of red and pink. And then the third one that I added right on top of the purple sticker. And once I had that all adhered to the page, I decided I needed to add some of these really fun acrylic hearts. So I just sprinkled them around, moved them around. I added some around the labels that I added, a couple in the clouds, and then I tried to match up the colored acrylic hearts with the actual color of the rainbow. So you can see there I'm kind of finding the right placement for the red one, the yellow one, and the purple and green one. So I guess I had one for every color actually, because I see the teal one in there as well. So I added those in and ended up adhering them down with some glue dots, which seemed to work pretty well. And then I decided it needed a little bit more flair inside the rainbow, so I added in some of these puffy sticker stars that I thought were really cute, and yeah, just kept filling in the details here. Like I mentioned before, when I saw the acrylic heart and then I saw the die cut that Elle created, I was so excited because my daughter and I had been acting like crazy little fools outside one day, and she happened to have on this really cute rainbow shirt, and I was just snapping pictures the whole entire time and, you know, just acting silly of sorts. And so when I saw this, I just knew I had to scrap these photos, and you can see here she's just acting silly. She's making all sorts of faces at me. It's just funny whenever I say, hey, you know, say cheese. There's no way I'm going to get a cheese out of her, which I guess is great. I love the candid shots. I love to see her personality, and I love to document that. So I wasn't complaining, and like I said, I was just so excited when I saw this because I absolutely knew 100% what I was going to scrap. And so here I am just adding a few more details and embellishments just to get it right. And I think I'm just about done. I end up moving a couple of things around, and if you have been watching any of my videos, you know that I like to do that a lot. And so I never fully commit until I like the placement of everything. So now that I'm happy, I go ahead and adhere the labels down and make a couple of small adjustments. And next I'm thinking, what in the world am I going to do for the title? And so what I decided to do was add Choose Happy up at the top around the rainbow. And then instead of adding journaling to the page on the labels, which I think I'll probably add the journaling underneath the photo. You don't see them here, but oh, real quick. I ended up not having any P's, so I took the R's and just snipped that little leg off the R and turned those into P's, so that way I could get my full Choose Happy title. So like I mentioned before I interrupted myself, was that I'm going to add the journaling underneath that one photo that says "You make me happy when skies are gray." I just need to find the right words. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and add kind of a subtitle to this page right there. And so I'm just filling in the words, and then I get done with "life is" and start adding the better and realize I don't quite have enough of the black letters that I started with to complete it. So I kind of started over here, and you know what? That's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. So I end up taking those stickers back off, and the great thing is they just stick right back on the sheet. And so I get all of those taken off, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do the black. And I end up having enough of the black, so I put the "life is," and then I realized, well, I don't even have enough of the yellow to write the word "better." So I added the "better" using the teal colored, it's kind of a greenish teal actually, or a dark teal. And then I'm counting up thinking, well, do I have enough of the pinks for "when you're," and I did not. So I go with the blue. And so I'm just adding in "when you're." And then I kind of have to position the "when you're" just a little bit more to squeeze those ends. I just overlap the letters just a little bit, add my apostrophe, my RE, and I'm done with the subtitle. And so now I'm just looking at the page thinking, is there anything else I need to do? And I realize I need to add that little white heart between the "Choose Happy." So I add that to it. Again, I use glue dots. Those stick those acrylic pieces down really, really well. And I wanted to add one more bit to the right side of that other photo, so I added in another acrylic heart. And with that final piece there, I am done. And I guess I'll leave today saying that I hope you can choose happiness and be the rainbow in someone else's cloud. So thanks so much for tuning in today, and I hope to see you again very soon.